Right, you guys have joined me at the perfect time for the first tip. I'm having a really nice day's feeder fishing here at Hallcroft. Some lovely bream, and to be honest, there's a lot of fish feeding at the moment. So one of the most important things, if not for me the most important thing when I'm feeder fishing, is to make sure every single time I'm tangle free. Make sure when I'm out in the water, all right, that nothing's tangled up, everything's right. Now, that comes in two aspects for me, or three aspects, I suppose. First of all, my rig. I need my rig to be as simple as possible, okay? So, on my rig here, you guys will have seen this rig before. If you go on the Preston Innovations YouTube channel, you'll be able to go on the tangle-free feeder rig. This is basically my free running rig, which has a nice thick piece of line here. This is 8-pound sinking feeder mono. And then just two stops that stop my feeder link running down the line, and then I can apply my feeder. Now this means that this piece of line here is nice and stiff, a lot less likely to get in a tangle, and then I've just got a little 6-inch 010 hook length here. So that's the first aspect. You don't need like lots of fancy jewelry on your line, like lots of fancy things that are going to create tangles. I've tried lots of different things, and don't get me wrong, they work. You can use power gum, you can use swivels and all those sorts of things, and they do work, but they run the risk of you getting in a tangle because it's extra weight on your line. So you want your line to be nice and as light as possible. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, when you're casting your feeder, make sure you've got a feeder that can comfortably reach where you're going to cast. Don't be trying to force something to where you're going to get it, because if you put a really light feeder on, or a side-loaded feeder when you're casting too far, all that happens is your cast is forced. And when you start forcing it, you run the risk of tangle. So, for example, I'm fishing 27 meters here today. I've got the 20-gram hex mesh bullet on. I can just fill that feeder up nicely. Put my ground bait in there today. I'm just fishing with ground bait in there today. All right. And that's going to comfortably get to where I'm going to cast. Now, I line up with my target. And again, everything has to be smooth. What you've got to remember again, when you're casting out, you're trying to cast towards your target and then hit the clip with the feeder probably like my height off the water. That's what you're trying to achieve. Don't try to cast 27 yards, but try to cast, say, 50 to get there. And obviously you don't want to be too light. I'm probably trying to aim to cast this like 33, 34 meters, if you like, sort of 5 or 6 meters further than it needs to go, which means when it hits the clip, this hook bait will kick out past the feeder goes in, and if you were to look at it in slow motion, the feeder would hit the water and the hook bait would hit the water here. That means as it goes down and the hook bait goes down behind it, you are so less likely to get a tangle, because obviously your hook bait was clear of your feeder. Now, a nice sort of meter or so of line between my tip and my feeder, and when I cast, I'm not going to rush it. Everything's nice and smooth. I'm not sort of like, I don't know how best to describe it. My timing's got to be right. Everything's got to be nice and smooth, not forced. So my rod, everything's designed to suit. So you look back nice and gentle and flick it out. And again, you don't want to be too high. You don't want to be casting it too high, because if you cast it high, especially with a little wind in my face, it's going to start coming back at me. I need to make sure that when it hits the clip, excuse me, it hits the clip and obviously that bait kicks out past. And I look for it. I'll actually look for it when I cast. I'll try to make sure that I can see that hook bait land. If I don't, or if I see the hook bait almost like tangled up or caught up behind or anything that doesn't look right, I'll just wind it straight in and cast it back out again, because when you're on a nice shoal of bream like I am today, I want to make sure I come back with one or catch one every cast. I don't want to really be wasting time sitting there with my bait all tangled up. So basic of feeder fishing, make sure you're fishing without a tangle.